Hello friends, I hope you all are doing well. Let's just learn about something called Stephen Curve. So, first of all, what is Stephen Curve? Stephen Curve is something which tells us about the pH level which changes during the time a person eats of a sugary content, mostly sugary content, but it changes or it varies from the neutral pH to different pH levels with each and every meal. Now let's learn properly what is Stephen curve. So this curve depicts the variation in the pH level in a person's mouth which occurs after having meals. This is helpful to depict the chances of caries formation, and an individual can modify their frequency of meals with the guidance of this curve. This could be done by the dietitian and even the dentist who is consulting a patient regarding the modification of the diet to control or decrease the chances of caries formation. Now, the Stephen curves is something which is seen on a graph form also, so that we can have a imaginary picture of that particular process. But actually, this process occurs normally. The pH of the mouth is at the neutral level, that is 7 pH. As a person eat something, the pH level falls because the saliva has to um, digest the food, and we all know that partial digestion occurs into the mouth itself due to the usage of salivary glands produced saliva, which consists of several kind of enzymes. For example, salivary amylase, which is helpful for the digestion process. So now, as this process starts, the pH of the mouth falls, and when it falls below 5.5, which is a comparatively better pH to um, inhibit the carious process. When it falls behind this, the pH comes to the level of 4 to 5.5. This pH range is something where the carious attack could be highest, and the enamel of the tooth is in the most vulnerable form. Now, this process has to occur after every meal. Although we are having certain kind of mm, methods by which we can shorten this process or the time period in which this pH level is so low, but completely eradicating this process is not possible, because if we think of eradicating this process, then the process of digestion will also be severely affected in a negative way. So this is somehow is important also, but the excessive frequency of the Stephen curve will be causing damage to the enamel of the tooth. So let's see. As I have explained that the pH level falls from 7 to the 5.5 range, and beyond that even up to the 4.5 range when a person eats food. This pH level gets changed or modified or get into a better form as soon as 30 to 40 minutes. It is very important to note that if a person is having a meal, then he should be having a gap of 10 to 20 minutes between his brushing. Some people have the tendency to brush their teeth immediately after having a meal. This actually causes more damage rather than a benefit to a person's teeth, because at this point the teeth are into a vulnerable position where they are already attacked by the acid, and on top of it, if you are abrading it with the toothbrush, then it is more prone to get caries, or the enamel is more prone to get eroded. So it is really not recommended to brush up to 15 to 20 minutes after the meal. So you should be having a gap of 15 to 30 minutes after the meal before proceeding towards any kind of brushing. Now, this is a normal Stephen curve which happens with after the meal in a normal person. Now, the another Stephen curve is this. This includes the several frequencies of the meal. Here on the x-axis I should be writing the time limit, but I'm sorry it has not written right now. But the time frame is of 15 to 20 minutes in each green block, and in each pink block. So the time period uh, for a for the environment of mouth to return back to the normal position or the normal pH is of 20 to 30 minutes. And this is a normal healthy Stephen curve in which the duration between the meals is really long, almost of an hour, 2 hour, or more than that. But there is another Stephen curve which is actually an unhealthy Stephen curve, which is mostly seen in a patient who are prone to caries. That is this one. In this, as you can see, the safe zone is really less. This occurs when a person eats their food in really short frequencies. That means a person, for example, have eaten food 10 a.m. as a breakfast. Then it will be taking up to 20 to 40 minutes to return back to normal, but even after 30 minutes, he has again had a cup of tea. So the acid level again goes down to 4.5. Then after some time, maybe 1 or 2 hours, he again has had his lunch. Then, as the pH level was returning back to the normal, he had something else, for example, some sweet or dessert. Then again, it has slided down to 4.5. So, in this case, the teeth are more exposed to the acidic environment and less to the neutral pH. So, the enamel is more prone to get eroded and get caries as well. Now, in the oral cavity, there is a kind of equilibrium which is maintained. The saliva of a person consists of several calcium ions and several free phosphorus ions. These ions are helpful to create a balance between the erosion of the enamel and compensating it back with those ions. So the slightest amount of the decrease of pH, which is a normal process, is balanced by this process of um, entering of ions from saliva into the enamel. Okay. Normally, the calcium hydroxyapatite crystals are present, which are forming the enamel, and the process of this declined pH and then the release of these calcium and phosphorus ions from the enamel, making it prone to the caries, and again when the pH gets returned back to the normal, and during this time period the saliva is consisting of calcium and phosphorus ions which return back to the enamel and are replaced the empty spaces and fulfilling the ionic structure of the enamel. This process is a normal process, but we can make enamel a bit stronger. As I have mentioned earlier, there are several kind of methods which we can by which we can make the enamel a better version of it and make it more stronger to fight with this kind of acidic and variations and increased frequency of meals. So one of the ways to do this is introducing fluoride. Introducing the fluoride ion into the hydroxyapatite crystal will be forming calcium hydroxyfluoroapatite crystal. This fluoride ion will added up and replacing the OH group in the calcium phosphorus fluoride formula and will be forming the calcium hydroxyfluoroapatite crystals. The benefit which we will get after making the enamel or replacing the enamel's normal crystalline structure, which is hydroxyapatite crystal, to the hydroxyfluoroapatite crystal, is that it will not be taking the enamel into a vulnerable position, because the fluoroapatite crystals are more resistant to this 4.5 pH, which is normally occurs after the meals, as we have earlier seen that in this graph it is a normal hydroxyapatite crystal. This indicates that the 4.5 pH is harmful for the enamel, but this 4.5 pH is not harmful for the hydroxyfluoroapatite crystal built up enamel. So this is the modified Stephan curve for the fluoroapatite crystals, and it is all in the green zone because this fluoroapatite crystal is not affected by the 4.5 pH, and hence if the person is having the tendency to eat frequent meals, then this kind of method of replacing the hydroxyapatite crystal to the fluoroapatite crystal is really helpful for them, and this is done with almost everyone by introducing the fluoride in the drinking water, and even during the dental visits the dentist will be including the fluoride exposure to the enamel with a certain kind of procedure. Apart from this, there is also the fluoride present in a toothpaste, and this also provides the ample amount of fluoride which is sufficient to make enamel um, resistant enough and convert it into the fluorapatite crystals. So that was all about the Stephen curves. Also, I want to share something else. There is something, another point is written here: the increase in pH is comparatively rapid than the previous graphs. This is the result of additional fluoride attachment into the crystal lattice of enamel, hence the tooth becomes less prone to caries. So I have already explained this. So that was all about the Stephens curve, hydroxyapatite crystals, and modified Stephen curves. This is a very short topic but a really crucial topic as it consists of the basis of the enamel and the basic process by which the caries can be understood to a certain extent, and it also indicates certain methods which are used to avoid caries. So, I have taught you this particular topic from my notes which I have uploaded on my Instagram page. If you want, you can check out that page as well. It consists of a lot of different type of notes and informative posts which are very helpful during the preparations. So thank you so much for learning something from this video, and I hope it has helped you in a lot of ways. Thank you.